Welcome to the channel ABC Christian 5, where I try to do mostly Christian videos and also warn about certain things, like in the last video, a video game that promotes drugs. Watch out. So here, this video is going to be somewhat shorter. Does the Bible say who is the Antichrist? Now, if you type in Antichrist, we can see what we get here. So I forget if it's like one word or two words, so it's going to be maybe a little bit harder to find. I should have got that. Well, in this case, I'm searching for the word, but you can also obviously use something like Google. A lot of people right now are using like ChatGPT as a search engine. I haven't used it, but user material and sources that are available. So like one way is a Google search, Antichrist Bible verses, and then it says 22, but you got to be careful just to know who, what the website is, because it's like, they might be, like, sometimes I get something like a Mormon website or something, so you don't want to be stuck with someone's theology that isn't biblical. So, I mean, here we have 1 John 2:2. It says that an Antichrist is one who denies Father and Son. So sometimes you might be thinking Antichrist like the man of sin, like one person, but if you're out on the street preaching or sharing the gospel to someone in your everyday life and they deny the Father and the Son, either both or one of them, then I'd say, that's an Antichrist. What it's talking about is the person's against Christ. They have that Antichrist spirit. And that's where we get 1 John 4:3, the spirit of Antichrist. It's like a spirit. I mean, you want to understand this because it's important, because when you're witnessing, you see that it's a spiritual battle. So like a person can have a spirit of being against Christ. And it says in John 2:18 that there's going to be many antichrists. So sometimes these antichrists get a seat of power. Probably someone like Nero, if you know who that was in history. I mean, I wasn't there, but in modern times, I don't know. Maybe I heard someone from China, like one of the leaders, was taking out the Bible and removing stuff. So, in my opinion, that's the Antichrist. But there's going to be one day Antichrist, and a lot of people think Daniel 7:8 would be one of the verses, a little one. And it's interesting, a little one. I don't know if it's just. I think it says about him somewhere. It's he's going to be more stout than others. But if we look up the word stout, I don't know if it does that. I'd have to see if that has to be like. It might not be about height though, but I mean it does mean strong and muscular. So, but it could also mean proud and haughty, large and bulky. But so I don't know. It says a little one. And I don't know if this is using the King James. I don't think it is, but I think it says something similar in the King James, like a little one. But that's interesting because I think in another place, like I said, it says is stout. But you can go through the verses, and I mean, this is guys and women listening. If there's women listening, this is we're really privileged, and we just assume that this is always going to be with us, like the internet, and to be able to look it up and see all the verses. I mean, from what I'm looking at, this is pretty accurate. So, like, studying the Bible for a while, someone had to put these verses together, and the fact that you can just look them up, and in my opinion, it doesn't include all of them, but like it does give you like a lot of good, or there's more yet, maybe. Okay, so I don't know. It does have a lot of them. So, use your sources. And now, does the Bible say like who the Antichrist is going to be? I'd say yes. I mean, you just saw these verses here and those things. And does it name a name? Well, I think it kind of does too. I was going to say no, but if you look at it, Let me just get here. Kind of know where I'm going with this if you can read that. So, like, if you feel like how I do, that this beast is the Antichrist, and there's other beasts, but his image, his mark in his forehead and his hand, and then I think it goes on to say something here. I have to type in something else here. It might have been just right before it. So it says the name of the beast or the number of his name. So, I guess we don't know the name of. I feel like we probably don't know the name of it, but we know his number. So, when this beast, he's not here yet, and but it kind of describes, in my opinion, him as is. So, like, again, there's a spirit of Antichrist, and there was, and there's got, and so it's like it does exist even now. So, like, you don't want to be like saying like this Antichrist doesn't appear right now, because we see the Antichrist working, and it worked in Paul's day. So we don't have, as far as I can tell, like the name of it, but where I want it to be saying it's a number, we have his number, and that's really important. 666. So like we should be able to identify him and it's a man, right? We know it's a man because that's what the Bible says. So if someone says a woman is, they're like false teaching. It's a man. And as far as then the false prophet, I feel like we have a little bit less information on the false prophet. Now, people sometimes say, the Antichrist has to be a Jewish person, or they say the Antichrist has to be the false prophet has to be a Jewish person. And I wouldn't say so. I mean, we know, I don't think the Antichrist is, I just say I'm going to teach the Antichrist isn't a Jewish person. As far as if he's going to claim to have Jewish descent, I don't know that part. I don't know if he's going to claim to be Jewish or not, but I think the Bible identifies the Antichrist. I'm not going to say, like, as far as, how should I say, like, the location and who it is, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to. But as far as having a name, like my name is Craig, so like I don't feel like it gives his name, but it gives his number. And sorry about that earlier where I said it gives his name, but it gives the name of the, it gets the number of him. So I just got a little confused there. So 666 is a number, and as far as this Jewish connection, some say sorry if this is new to you. If we go to the book of Daniel, and we go here somewhere, I got past it a little bit. Okay, we'll past it again. They say something like, well, it talks about his fathers having, and if this relates to, whether you think it relates to the false Christ or the Antichrist or the false prophet or whatever you think. They talk about fathers, like, but it doesn't, or here is it, sorry, neither shall regard the God of his fathers. So we go here, and I'm not going to really comment the second part of that, but so when they say the God of the fathers, sometimes they think, well, see, like, I've seen this related to the Antichrist and the false prophet to say, well, see, he must be Jewish, but like in this commentary, like it says, he's going to pretend to be like a Christian or some kind of, and that's a possibility because think about it, like the Bible says, Satan appears like an angel of light, and so does. Don't be surprised if his followers, those people that follow Satan, try to appear to be an angel of light. So it's possible, like. They're going to be deceived, and God says, he says, if someone comes in my name, claims to be Christ, don't believe him, because every eye is going to see Jesus when he comes back. So he hasn't come back, because every eye will see him when he comes back. And I even think that's, everybody's going to see him, even the dead, because they're going to be raised, and, whether maybe they see him from uh, hell somehow. I don't know. Like maybe, but there's going to be a resurrection. Like so, like every eye's going to see him. I don't know if that verse is talking about like part of the resurrection or they're gonna. To me, it seems like there was a verse somewhere where they might see him from hell or something, but maybe it's at the resurrection. I don't know. But when they say the fathers of regard the God of his fathers, well, at the end of the day, God is the God of everybody. So like kind of talks about that. I mean, not everyone's following God, but he's the God of everybody. So like I wouldn't be too dogmatic. If I think that's an okay word to use. Sorry if it's not about this. Like, but at the same time, I don't think you can claim that he's going to be Jewish for sure, just based on this, which kind of looks like it. I mean, if you just look at it, but if you can find out where this Antichrist comes from, then it's like, like I don't think it's gonna be a Jewish person. So, but I mean, again, I don't think you can be too dogmatic about it. But that being said, so like I don't think this is enough proof, but it's still a possibility. And as far as a false prophet, some people say, well, since he's a prophet, he has to be Jewish because otherwise they don't. But if you remember Balaam, I just looked it up online just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't Jewish so like that's what it says. You can look it up just in case I'm wrong or they wrong. But he wasn't Jewish and he was a prophet. So I mean, sometimes we think it has to be a Jewish person or someone that's inside the church, like a Christian. But again, there's people in church, like you're supposed to apply the Old Testament to today's. So like in the synagogues or where they met in the even at the temple or something, they wouldn't always be true Jewish people, or they'd be not following God. So especially if you get a bigger church, sometimes the chances are, I think, the more the people, there are going to be a couple of people that aren't really Christians. So this has been a study. Yeah, I think it says who the Antichrist is, where he comes from, who he is, his number of his name, but we don't have like a physical name. And as the false prophet, I don't know if it says where he comes from. I didn't see it, but maybe it's there somewhere. It seems like there's less information. So the point is, we're gonna know when it comes, and you're not gonna, unless you're sleeping and you're not walking with Christ. Then the Bible says you gotta awake, and it says be watching, and we're supposed to be watching for Christ's return. So hope you like this video, and God bless.